Gavin Newsom, welcome to the show.
Hey, it's good to be back.
It's really good to see you again, Governor. It's been a while. The last time we spoke was over Zoom.
Yes.
Was at the height of the pandemic.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, we're still in it, but just looking at everything that's been going on, how do you think California is doing right now in terms of the pandemic?
Well, we were worried about the winter surge. Last year, around this time, we saw a big spike in the Delta cases. In fact, we peaked in that first week of January where we were getting body bags from outside of the state. We had one of the best summers of any state in the country, among the lowest positivity rate and case rates. We started to see an increase, but we're now about the fifth lowest, 2.2% positivity in the country, and for one reason. At the end of the day, it's that we have led with vaccinations, administered doses. 93% now of adults have received at least one dose. And the key is to continue to promote these life-saving vaccines and boosters. That's the only way out of this.
You've had a really rocky journey, to say the least, in and around the pandemic. I mean, California went through a really tough time, and then obviously the whole country saw the George Floyd protests, and California saw some of the biggest, and then you had the pandemic itself, and then you went to the restaurant when people weren't supposed to go.
You didn't even mention wildfires.
I didn't mention I was getting to the wildfires. That was your personal wildfire.
Yeah, that was. That was certain choices we make, you own them. Tattoo, look, hey, hardly perfect. And those that are, God bless, and write a book. I hope they do. But I'm not, and I made a mistake. But I owned up.
Let me ask you this, though. Does that mean, though, that as a governor, you would have the same level of maybe compassion for people who mess up when they break the rules?
I always have. And I mean, honestly, it goes, and without even just jumping into the book, I always have. I'm very humbled by the nature of the world and life, and my own struggles and my own mistakes. And of course, when you have dyslexia, you have a learning disability growing up, you're prone consistently to make mistakes. It's an anomaly when you don't make a mistake.
That's interesting.
And so for me, this notion of resilience and grit and determination. But look, the key, the life, I think it was Churchill, another dyslexic, said, secret of all success, moving from failure to failure with enthusiasm. You have to own up your mistakes, don't repeat them, and learn from them. And at the end of the day, look, I get it. We have to model better behavior as leaders. But one thing I'm proud of, we've been a model in terms of science and health outcomes. We have had a pandemic like every state has, but we have not been shy to lean in, take leadership, and with that comes lumps.
Let's talk about the book. Ben and Emma's big hit. So they told me Governor Gavin Newsom is going to come on the show. He's writing a new book. And I was like, whoa, the last time a governor wrote a book, his life didn't go so well. I was like, this could be risky. But this is different. You wrote a children's book.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to lie, it was really endearing. You wrote a book about basically your struggles with dyslexia, which I didn't know you had. So tell me a little bit about that. I mean, I did find it ironic that the way you discovered your dyslexia is that you read through documents. But tell me a little bit about the story.
I just kept seeing my name, and I'm wondering what the stack of documents were, and of course, wondering why I was going after school consistently, and I didn't realize for years.
Because you were really struggling in school.
I was struggling. I was doing speech therapy. In fact, you look at these. I hadn't looked in 20 years at these old files. I mean, literally doing speech therapy, learning disability that included an inability to read completely, an inability to spell, and I still struggle. This is a lifelong issue, and of course, it's not unique to me. I mean, it's jaw-dropping. At least we estimate 20% of Americans, 20% of people around the globe have some form of learning disability. Think about that number.
That's huge, yeah.
It's tens of millions of Americans, hundreds of millions of people around the globe, many that have been diagnosed, many that gotten intervention support, many that haven't.
Right.
And so I just want to destigmatize this. I just met with a bunch of young kids, all of them that had learning disabilities and differences. And the number one thing they all have in common, self-esteem. And they feel demoralized. They feel that they're stupid.
Right.
And I had terrible self-esteem, and I was in the back of the classroom, and I had terrible grades, and I can't read speeches, even today.
So what do you do then before? What do you do if you can't read a speech?
I don't have a speechwriter. It's all extemporaneous.
So you just remember, you
just got to go up, know your material, and that's another thing you learn in dyslexia. You got to work 10 times as hard as anyone else.
Because you're using other parts of your brain,
Other parts of your brain. It's awkward to admit all these things, right? Because you want to be the guy. This is my book about how great Californian I am. And, I had a few setbacks, but let me tell you, the best is yet to come. And, it's the opposite. This is a composite of me. It's my mom, a single mom. She passed away almost 20 years ago, and she's Miss Kim, and how she didn't give up on me even though she struggled. And I'll tell you, it's heartbreaking. I got 4 kids. A couple of them are struggling with learning differences as well. And as a parent, it's much worse, trust me, than being a kid with dyslexia
Right.
is experiencing your own kids with a learning disability.
What's the word that freaks you out the most? There's got to be like a word.
That's an interesting question. I never thought about that. I think perfection. It's illusory. It doesn't exist. And we're consumed by it. And I hate our education system that doesn't incentivize mistakes. It really is damaging beyond words. What we need is the creative. We need the innovative. If you don't make mistakes, you can't find a new way of doing things. In politics, I mean, we destroy people for making mistakes.
Right.
We do. And so as a consequence...
Well, there's a difference, though, between, I think, destroying them and holding them accountable, right? You always got to find that balance. You got to find that balance. Because I don't think you've been destroyed. You're here and you're still the governor.
Yeah.
You know, some could say, you know, your actions at French Laundry meant that now you were taken to task. And then the people voted for you. I mean, 30 points. So clearly the people were like, all right, you know, Governor Newsom, we're going to roll with you. But I think there is a balance sometimes in terms of like destroying politicians versus holding them accountable because they have power over people's lives.
100%. And not only are you right, let me make a distinction about the point I was making because I didn't say it effectively enough. It's not being held to account. You need to hold us to a higher level of accountability because of our unique positions. We have not just formal authority, but we should have some moral authority. So I could not agree more. But I think about it in terms of policy, in terms of good intentions gone awry.
Right.
Not the failings, but trying new things, being willing to take risks as it relates to iterative
It is challenging.
strategy.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
And that's where people say, see, what that's complete. You know, they try to make that investment. The investment is complete embarrassment and failure.
Right.
And then it's attacking your money.
Yes.
And that's where in private sector, I have 20 businesses. I started as an entrepreneur, restaurants, hotel, wineries. I'm really proud of pen to paper myself. No inheritance. No. And all I did, I actually did every month gave an award to the person who screwed up the most.
Wow.
We had a failure award.
I wish I worked in your company.
It's never too late. It's never too late. But the
reason you did this is because?
To incentivize initiative and responsibility.
I like that.
We're not victims. Be accountable.
Let me ask you this then. Using your entrepreneurial spirit and mind combined with your leadership, let's look at California. And California is not the only place, please don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But, we've seen a spate of like, shoplifting and like these mass things where they drive in, they steal a bunch of stuff and they go. And then we see some police chiefs now, I take what they say with a pinch of salt, but some of them say like, oh, well, it's because people know they can go and steal $300,000 worth of things. And then because there is, no bail anymore for shoplifting, no matter how big the scale, people understand the risk versus reward ratio of what they're doing. So how do you find a creative way to create a safer state for people whilst also not jumping into the industrial prison complex and then punishing people who shouldn't be punished because they can't afford to pay bail? How do you find that balance using that entrepreneurial mind?
Well, I'm in a unique position to answer that for two reasons. One, I come from California, which led the nation in the lock 'em up, 3 strikes and you're out, 1994, fear of the others.
Right.
I mean, we were on the forefront of that, and we saw prisons increase, 175,000 people at peak. We had opened dozens of prisons and actually only opened up 1 new UC in that process, and yet crime kept going up and up and up. We advanced reforms, and we saw crime go down. Let me be specific. These folks, particularly on one of those networks, every single day is talking about something called Prop 47 in California. That was a reform in 2014 as it relates to the issue of shoplifting and property crimes. It would be a felony if it was crime that was committed that was $900 of goods. We raised it from $400, roughly $450. The reality is in 2015, property crimes went down, larceny went down, shoplifting went down, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. So if it's the cause of the spike, it must have been the cause for the decline. Now, what's happening with the retail theft is unacceptable. We have to hold people to account, and we're doing that. And these are crimes well beyond the $900 threshold.
Right.
So it's rather specious, these arguments. Plus, 39 states, 39 Republican states, not just Democratic states, did the same thing that California did. 31 states today have higher felony thresholds than the state of California. Interestingly, Texas has higher violent crime rates than California and property crime rates. Why isn't Fox talking about those states? They are scapegoating these reforms because they don't support the reforms. I'm open to argument, interested in evidence. If we find that these reforms are not producing as they were intended, then we will own that. Same time, we have to own the responsibility to address these organized criminal rings.
Right.
And these retail thefts are being done at scale in Minnesota, in Chicago.
It's not spontaneous.
Not just California. And that's a whole different paradigm and challenge. And we are responsible, again, accountable to addressing that issue. And we're doing that.
Well, thank you for the time. Thank you for writing a really fun book. And
I appreciate it.
Hope to see you again on the show.
Great to see you.
Ben and Emma's Big Hits is available now.